Hello, this is Miss Clifner with your video lesson for today. If you're watching this video, that means you clicked on the purple link in today's Canvas assignment. Take out your planner and write down the homework. It's to make a one sheet. Maybe you've already done that. You're going to look at your practice test and formula. Informative. I made lots of comments on every question that you got wrong. You're going to correct your practice test and then begin the one sheet. There is a quizzes at the end, just for fun if you have extra time. So here's what today's Canvas assignment looks like. So this is the answer key to the practice test. I printed it out and put the answers there, right? So this is answers to practice test written out. But I made comments on your online assignment. And then this is just for fun. This is, I haven't played it for you yet. It's kind of a creepy, the guy who does the song is a little creepy. So I didn't know if I was going to show it this year, but it helps you remember which order to graph the coordinates in. So if you want to play that song, and that I did put the words on the one sheet. So that's the pink link for the song. Okay, so you're going to be making your one sheet today, and you're going to use it on the quiz, on the test tomorrow. Okay, so here's our notes from lesson 1, right? We started graphing. We wrote integers, and we graphed them on the number line. And number lines, the spacing can vary, but it has to be the same. Notice that if you're just graphing one number, you don't necessarily have to start with 0 on the number line. But if you're going to graph an integer and its opposite, notice what we did every time was we put 0 in the middle, and then we counted out to the right and to the left with positives and negatives with equal spacing. Okay, so here we go. Graph the integer and its opposite. Here's the integer I'm graphing, negative 12. I'm going to start with 0 in the middle. I want to skip count by a factor of 12. Maybe I'm going to use 2, maybe 3, maybe 4, maybe 6. Ooh, if I use 2, let's see if I have enough. I'm going to skip though. This is 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12. And then if I go in this direction, 2, 4, I'm running out of room. Okay, so that didn't work. Maybe I'll have to just extend my number line. I'll go ahead and erase this. Okay, so there's 4, 6, 8. That means 10 is here and negative 12 is actually right there where the negative 12 is. Okay, so let's extend my number line. That's where my negative 12 is going to be because negative 10 was here. And there's my negative 12 and there's my positive 12. I didn't put a closed circle on 0. I started with 0 in the middle. Okay, and then we went through and we wrote some words that mean positives and negatives. You can look at your notes, but maybe it was words like, let's see, if you get a bonus, if you climb up a mountain, right? It's when you ascend to climb up. Above, if you have an asset. If you gain points. So the negatives were words like descend, lose, oops, my pen isn't, debt. If you owe money, right, that's a negative. If you withdraw money, and if you climb down. Okay, so we went through a bunch of words. That's not nose, it's lose. And then we did some examples, like write an integer that represents when you withdraw $20 from the ATM. No units, just the number. I'm just going to put in negative 20. And then the bottom one says you climb up 900 feet at Torrey Pines. You're climbing up. Doesn't matter where you started. You went up 900. You can put the plus or you can leave it out. It has to be a positive number. Okay, that's integers. Then we did lesson notes on comparing numbers on a horizontal number line. And we also did some absolute values on a number line. And we used this language, right, which I gave you on the practice test as well. So here's section 6.2. You're comparing the integers. Notice if I already give you a number line and I ask you to graph the integers, I'm looking for where negative 8 is and where negative 7 is. Remember, the negative numbers, the bigger the number, the smaller the value. So if I start here at 5, count backwards, 6, this is where negative 7 is, and this is where negative 8 is. And to graph them on the number line, I need to put a closed circle. And I can see that 8 is to the left, which means it's less So the crocodile is going to eat the -7. So here's my plan. And I keep the order. -8 is less than -7 because -8 is, oops, not above or below. That's up for a vertical number line. -8 is left of -7. Oops, that was where -7 was on the number line. -8 is to the left, so it's less. Okay, here's 6.4. Distance is always positive. Remember, the absolute value symbol means that you're finding a distance from 0. Distance is always positive. If you run backwards, you still run a positive distance on your Fitbit. Okay, so if we're putting numbers in order from least to greatest, I do the absolute value first. So the absolute value of -3 is +3. Absolute value of 5 is 5. And the absolute value of -4 is +4. Now, I didn't have to do anything with the negatives. They stay negative. But I look at the number line in the classroom, right, and I realize that the smallest number on this list is -4 because it's the biggest, sort of, right? -4 would be to the left. There's that one. Then -3. Now I'm going for +3, but I'm going to write it with the absolute value symbols as the original value that I was given. That's that one. And then I write the absolute value of -4. And then I write the absolute value of +5. So I put all 5 numbers in order. Now, I gave you a tricky one on the practice test. And I did something like this. I put, what's the opposite of the absolute value of -4? And so you would treat the absolute value sort of like a parenthesis, and you would do the math inside there first. You know it's a positive distance, but then there's a negative on the outside, and that negative changes the number back into a negative. Okay, next we started learning about the coordinate plane. Remember, we made a big capital C on our notes, quadrant 1, 2, 3, and 4. They're ordered in that order, and it's called counterclockwise. So remember that when we graph, the x coordinate goes first and then the y coordinate. You have to put parentheses. Some people are still leaving out the parentheses and a comma in between the two numbers. Okay, so if I ask you to plot point B and C and then describe the location, right? Remember, there's 7 locations on a coordinate plane. Okay, so -2, 3. I start at the origin. I go left 2 spaces, up 3. And then I put a capital B. And I'm going to label my quadrants 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so B is in quadrant 2. That's where it's located. All right, C, -4, 0. I go over here. Remember, the first number goes left or right. -4, 0 is right there. And I'm going to put the capital C. So C is on the x-axis. It's right on the x-axis. Now, if I give you a point down here, let's say I do another point just to check, point D, and I call it 3, -4. I would go over 3, down 4. This is where D is, and that is in the 4th quadrant. Okay, that's graphing. And then we had some notes on reflecting. And this is like the big ideas that I try to make you think about. If you reflect across the x-axis, notice it's actually going up and down, right? The point, if it was up, it moves down. If it was down, it moves up. And then the x and the reflection across the y-axis goes left and right. And then I want you to think about this. If you go left and right, well, let's start with the up and down. If you go up and down, it was the y that changes. If the y was positive, it goes negative. If it was negative, it goes positive. And then in this one, it's the x coordinate that changes. So technically, I can ask you a question, not give you a graph, and you should be able to tell me whether it's a reflection in x and the y. But I'm always going to give you a graph just to help you out. Okay, so this is the same bit of notes that I had before. This is on your one sheet. Reflect the point 5, -2 in the x followed by the y. So I'm going to start here and I'm going to go over +5 and then down 2. That's where 5, -2 is. That's my original point. So now I'm going to highlight my axes, and I like to do red on the X and I like to do blue on the Y, and I'm going to picture the point hopping over the X-axis first. So it starts here, and when it hops over the X-axis, if it was 2 below, it's going to be 2 above. So now my new point is 5, +2. Remember, the Y changed across the X. So that was a reflection in the X, and now I'm going to do reflection in the Y. So this is 5 to the right, so it's going to be 5 to the left. And it ends up there. So now it's -5, +2. I want you to notice after I did the 2 reflections, the 5 went to its opposite and the -2 went to its opposite. Okay. This is the words to the kind of creepy song. So if you want to listen to the song, here's the words that would go in here. First, it's side to side on the X-axis. Then it's up and down on the Y-axis. It goes to a Taylor Swift song. And I think Vivi will appreciate it because I know Vivi knows this song. That's all I have. Good luck and practice some problems to study.